Hello everyone, welcome to the AYON integrations presentation. I did a presentation earlier today. I was instructed to speak slower. I have the tendency to be quite quick, so bear with me if I'm going too slow or too fast. After the presentation, please stay around for a bit, and we'll have some great AYON t-shirts to hand out. And with that out of the door, let's get started. I'm Roy, head of pipeline and input. I'm joined here by Ondrej, senior pipeline architect and input, and we'll be showing you today some new and shiny features. We'll show things already released, but we'll also show some sneak peeks of upcoming things, hopefully soon and some a bit further out. So to get started, how many of you are using AYON? Okay. How many of you are just here because there was ComfyUI in the title? Just 5 people. Okay, very good. So let's get straight into it and cover ComfyUI and AYON. We're announcing a fully open source and free-to-use integration with ComfyUI. Let's have a quick look. Essentially, it's a full host integration like we have for other DCCs, like Maya, Houdini, Nuke, everything. You have workflow management or work file management, the saving of your work files, opening them, and sharing them with your network share and other users. You can publish things out so that they actually are tracked by AYON, and downstream departments can instantly load them into Nuke and other software. But you can also load content into ComfyUI that comes from your pipeline, like your renders, and those are completely managed. So if a new render comes in tomorrow, you can open your workflow file, and then essentially you can just update it easily through AYON. You can essentially load them. I managed everything. See, I'm too quick again. But I'll have a video pre-recorded this time, which I wonder if I'm just as fast at home as well. So let's see how fast that is.
Good afternoon, second day of FMX. I hope you're not all fast asleep. Get your seatbelts fastened, and let's take a look at the ComfyUI integration inside AYON. Let's first configure this. Let's go to my browser. Oh wait, that's not the page I wanted to be at. If you go to the settings in AYON and have the ComfyUI integration set up, basically you can configure a local configuration and a remote configuration. You can connect with the integration to your local ComfyUI server that AYON can launch for you with all the flags that you need so that you can set this up company-wide and stuff like that. But you can also run to, for example, to a already hosted server, even an offsite server, like a cloud-hosted one. So in this case, I have a local entry. Let's take a look at how that works. I can launch ComfyUI from the launcher. It will ask me which of the configurations to use. So it will launch one process. Again, all these prompts are there because I'm in dev mode. And this will essentially launch ComfyUI. As soon as it opens, it will open my last graphs. But if I go to AYON work files, as you can see, the integration is completely integrated into the ComfyUI application. If I go here and I open the last work file, it will open it for me. But I can also say save a new version. So if I go there and I essentially save, it will increment. Everyone, shout now what you want me to generate as an image, because this is not a live demo, but it will still generate exactly what you will be requesting, because that is the exact prompt I gave it. Let's take a quick look at what this does, and I'll just run it here. Now look at that beauty of an image. That is old school FMX and the exact image that, of course, you guys have requested and wanted me to produce. I'm pretty sure that's not as cool as FMX 2016. Look at this one, guys. Anyway, let's get back. So what can I do now? I can essentially start publishing this out of this scene. Recook and publish on this node above here, you can see is disabled. So this would essentially now just take this image and throw it straight into AYON. So if I go here and click publish, this would essentially make it available into AYON. There are some other types that I can also publish. I can essentially do videos, images, and 3D models. And each of these, whenever I create them, they would essentially make a new node inside the graph, and I can connect them to anything in the graph for which this is relevant. So that's kind of how that works. So I'm just going to remove this one for the sake of testing. Should make it available for me inside the loader UI. So if I go to AYON loader, I can essentially load the latest content here. And this is very useful because I can do this, of course, with the ComfyUI generated images, but it's more likely that you'll be using these with your production renders or your production output and then loading those into your graphs. And you can essentially manage these as well. So if I go to AYON scene inventory, I can essentially start swapping these versions out. That is about it. but this should cover the basic needs. Again, this would all work over a remote connection to a cloud-hosted version, which is, I think, what's really interesting about this integration.
Okay, so anyone who is here for the ComfyUI, this was all the video I have of ComfyUI. Sorry about that. It's not about how you manage your graphs themselves. Basically, AYON is like the integration, and you take inputs and outputs, and it tracks the pipeline side of things. Whatever you do in your graph will work because that's ComfyUI based. So all the inputs and outputs, that's what we're managing. What you're doing inside is entirely up to you. If you're using custom nodes, totally fine. If you're doing anything else, it's fine with me as well. So essentially, it's available in the sidebar and the top menu. And we have some few AYON nodes like image save, video save, and so those type of things just to help you out. But the rest is just, like I mentioned before, the default integration. I think I want to highlight the aspect that you can actually connect this to a cloud-hosted ComfyUI. You don't need to have all control of the ComfyUI instance. You only need to be able to put the nodes there. So if it has access to these few custom nodes, it should already work. And through some magic connection trickery we should be able to still run everything we need and customize ComfyUI enough to make it work. With that, I really want to say shout out to Sos van Geluk at Submarine, who did essentially the whole integration with the connection design on how to connect to a cloud-hosted service. And he built it open source at Submarine. But also thanks to Tony Dorfmeister at BEpic. They were already having a ComfyUI integration that wasn't managing work files and doing the publishes, but they had some custom things to manage their custom ComfyUI nodes studio-wide. And they essentially merged those efforts back into this integration. And it's crazy, but it's already available. It's out there. So I would say get it now, maybe. Or maybe don't go downloading it just right now, because we're announcing that we will be officially adopting this as the ComfyUI integration with AYON, which means we'll essentially be doing some cleanup across the next few weeks to make sure it behaves exactly like our other add-ons. And we'll also follow up with documentation so you know how to set it up. And also for clients that are on pipeline support or even on pro support, we'll be able to help you get set up and make sure everything works out of the box, so we'll be offering support for that as well. It will be available in 2 weeks. Then we have the AYON Summit, and the QR code you have here, you can scan it. If you are interested in ComfyUI or the Summit, you can essentially sign up. I think this QR code is for the private work group we have, or the use the interest, or the ComfyUI interest. So if you sign up, you essentially can join our Discord, and we might be able to invite you to our private group where we have some of the clients and some of the people already using the integration and are discussing what they need and what else crazy stuff they're going to be building. And otherwise, in 2 or 3 weeks, we're hosting the AYON Summit, where this is also a very good topic to discuss. So if you happen to be around Prague, you're more than happily invited. And I believe there are still a few tickets. And like I said at the very beginning, I think I said it, it's completely free to use, also for commercial use. It's Apache License 2.0, just like our other DCC integrations. So, like the president would say, or ex-president, it's free and convenient. On to Ondrej.
So, hello. While Roy is the fast one, I'm the slow one. So, I'm faster. Oh, damn it. So I was talking about Deadline Cloud yesterday on AWS meeting, and this is like a compiled version of it. So nothing new if you saw it yesterday. So that this is like a new integration for Deadline Cloud. This will be released in the end of May. Right now it's working with Maya, but we have a plan to add more hosts, probably Houdini and Nuke. Soon enough. So Deadline Cloud is like a next deadline. It's a far more render scheduler solution running on cloud. It's very easy to set up and manage, scale as those cloud solutions are. It's completely built around open job descriptions, and we are using that. So with those integrations, planning on the integration in Maya, you should be able to submit the job, the render job directly from the publisher, as you are used to do with the other integrations like the Deadline 10 and raw render. So the tools are the same, they look the same. it's using the API from the Maya submitter or the submitter from Deadline Cloud. So the code is almost the same. It's talking together using open job description, so nothing new, and it's really open, and you can hook yourself, and the way how the environments are built and everything, it's really open for development. Deadline Cloud is not just like a cloud. You can use your own on-prem farm there, so you can connect your own machines and render and scale as you want. The advantage of submitting the jobs through AYON is that you can run the validation plugin, so you make sure that the jobs that are sent to farm are actually the ones that you want to build, you want to render out. Yeah, so with that comes the open job description, something that's, the whole thing is built around it. Deadline Cloud is using Conda and REST packages to handle the environment on the farm. So you can define easily the environment on the worker machines, and it will be used then. You can combine the environments on your on-prem machines. It's based on a like per machine or per fleet and per queue. There is many levels of control. And it's not just for renders. You can, or you should be able, once the integration is done and enhanced, you should be able to submit everything that needs some computing power to there. So waiting for all the AI jobs and stuff. So I'll have some video recorded on how it looks in Maya. It's rather lengthy one. So now I'm showing you the vanilla Deadline Cloud submitter. With all its parameters. The good thing is that, again, as I said, it's built around the open job description. So what you see in here is completely available to AYON tools and AYON API. And whatever you change in Deadline Cloud submitter is immediately reflected to AYON. So you can use both of them. So in the publisher, you basically create a new product, new instance, and you'll see all the options that you have in the Maya submitter. The settings are taken from AYON settings, so you can configure the whole farm there. All the credentials and everything is handled by AYON. You run the validations. They are like the broad common validations that are used for rendering in the whole AYON ecosystem, or you can create your own specific for the cloud. Once you publish it, it will submit automatically to the cloud. Then there are the tools to monitor the job. Of course, I'm showing how green it is, how everything is fine. There are steps. So first step on the job is the rendering one. The other step is, you can see it on the left corner down there. There are two steps depending on each other. First is the rendering one, the second one is the publishing. So once the rendering is done, the publishing will trigger. It's like similar concept as to two jobs on a deadline 10 waiting on each other. The difference is that the rendering can be done on a service managed fleet, that means on a cloud. And the publishing can happen on-prem, so customer managed fleets on your own machines that can see AYON. So you don't need to really expose AYON to the whole internet. It can be seen only by those machines that need to see it. The data is synchronized between those machines. So whatever is rendered on the cloud is available to the on-prem machines and vice versa. So that's handled. There are those concepts like host requirements and everything that you might be familiar with on the Deadline, so you can manage your license pools and everything. So now the job is done, rendered, and published, and when you see the result in AYON as you would expect. So yeah, that's basically it. It's the old demo project. So what's next there? That's up. No set timeline for it. We need to add that support for workflows for all those add-ons we have currently that are using Deadline or anything related to farm. we need to connect, or it would be nice to connect the whole farm setup. All about Deadline Cloud is connected to the API, clear open API. So handling Deadline Cloud through AYON is the obvious next step. You can monitor the resources and having budgets and everything, and you can connect the whole data to AYON and monitor it from there. And the last point, Conda and REST environments, it would be nice to basically use AYON applications and tools that are defined in AYON as REST packages or Conda packages, and to have like a transparency between the farm machines and the local ones. So that's it.
All right, so I hope everyone understood every single thing he said. If not, if you're like me, you'll probably want to hang out with him after and learn, so definitely come by after and chat with him. You can probably talk about it for hours. Let's talk a bit about desktop review. I saw someone coming in late. If you're here just for the ComfyUI part, I have this issue where I chat too fast. I already covered it. The desktop review, we have a web review player in AYON where you can do synced playback, kind of like SiteSync and other video players online. You can share it with clients, with guests. And it being on the web essentially means it's online, meaning it's playing optimized videos. But in our VFX studios and animation studios, you want to be color accurate, you want to have all OCO color controls in the LUTs, you want to have high resolution EXRs in certain cases where you're reviewing internally. So in that case, meet desktop review, and I have a brief demo of what that looks like. Does it play?
This is the AYON web frontend. We're looking at the Wing It demo project, and I would like to make a review out of sequence 60 of the lighting shots. I can go to my lighting view to kind of see what the overall views are, or the overall shots are, and these are the ones in shot 60, 1, 2, and 3 that I really want to review now. So I've already added them to a review, like here, so I can access it here and essentially play it on the web as usual. So this is essentially the website. I'll sync playback together with someone else, and I can review this, leave comments, and see everyone's notes. But I can now do the same thing on the desktop side. So I can go here and open this particular review using the actual representations that are on disk. In this case, I'm playing H.264 files, but the equivalent you can do with EXR, which is where it really shines because you get color accurate representations, and of course the high quality that you want. If I click here, it will ask me to open the review session in whatever variant I have of RV. In this case, I'm using 3.1 of OpenRV. I have the session already open, so let's take a quick look. So this is the same review session opened into desktop review in OpenRV. I can access the activity panel to have the exact same view as on the web front end, where I can see all the notes that were made on the shots. So I can go here and see, hey, this is pending review. So let's take a quick look what we can do here. We can essentially say, it's better now. And I can just comment that. I can also leave it in a certain category. Director doesn't like it, and say apply the category. So this, like the director says, the director doesn't like it. And these are all comments that would be available on the web front end as well. And I can go in here, say, hey, let me just draw over these and say this highlight, fix the highlight. The director doesn't feel the love we need in this shot. So this is the private note in this case, because yeah, love is very private. So let's see what happens now. If I do this, it will essentially go and make the annotation. It will apply it. I can review it here, but this would now also become available on the web front end. So let's go back there and see what that looks like. If I now go to the review and play this session as well here, doing without sync, we can see that this same thing is exactly here, and they're both synced. So the desktop review is essentially a clone of what we see here, and I can set the status after things have been fixed later. So say this is a later review session and say, this is definitely looking better. I could come in here and say, yeah, this is approved. Nice job. Director is very happy. And that's kind of it.
So yeah, it's quite the equivalent of what you see in the web front end, but then in your hopefully favorite video player. If you really hate RV, you might be unlucky if you maybe prefer XStudio, because if there's enough interest, we can integrate it there as well. But currently we have the RV integration with the review desktop rolled out to a few clients, happily using it in production. Yeah, color accurate, plays fast, or at least as fast as RV plays it. because we don't have much to do with the playback. Another tool we recently integrated based on customer request was Marvelous Designer. I'll tell a lot of very nice details about Marvelous Designer because I know nothing about it myself. But it's a full integration, like Heightstone with ComfyUI and other DCCs we have. Due to the matching API between Marvelous Designer and Clo, it's essentially compatible with both of the versions, so you can run it exactly the same with both versions. It's already available and already being used by a few clients. Here's a brief video. If it plays, does it play? Yeah. Does that work? Oh yeah, it goes. There you go. So essentially, like we've kind of seen in the ComfyUI thing as well, you can save with work files. That would essentially, is it doing anything? Interesting. Okay. Not sure if the video is playing all too well. But you can save the work files. You can essentially publish your data out, and you can load it back in. I'm not sure. There's not much special there. It's exactly the same as in other great integrations. I'm not sure what's with the video. I'll just skip it unless someone really wants to see the exact same garment, but in black. Who really favors black over white for clothing? Anyway, another tool we did last year was the AYON Slater. It's a fast and color accurate and for dynamic slates. So essentially, if you really want to have a slate for your plates, which is useful for animation and VFX work, you can essentially design them completely in our slate editor, which will upload it to the server, stores the configuration there, and whenever it renders on the farm or anywhere else, it will be able to use that configuration and generate the plates whenever it needs to. It's fast, color accurate, and the what you get editor is very helpful in designing exactly what you want. So I have a brief video of that as well. And it's color accurate, and you can even convert the input images back to the color space that the EXRs are in, so it's matching with the slates.
To do a quick demo of the AYON Slater, I'll open the Slater in a shot context, so the preview that you can see in the Slater will be based on that context. So I'm just going to go here to my lighting view and pick a shot that I think would be nice for Slater, probably this one. I'm going to run the Slater action, which is a slate editor. It will open a big UI, and then in the slate editor I can essentially download an example layout that exists on the server. So in this case, I can enable the preview to see what it would look like for a shot. And the slate editor here is essentially like an editor where you can design the slates. So I can go here and change the colors and make some nice pinkish color for this. Say, hey, I want the statuses or the tasks to always be in that color. I can also disable the preview and essentially see all the placeholder text that are in there. And these are all tags that you can essentially set that will be then dynamically computed. So if I go here and add another one, for example, I go here on the top right and essentially go and say, hey, I want anything that is on the user and I want their email address to be there. And if my user has an email address, you can see that that will be populated as soon as the slate gets generated. And that way there's way more tags here, a bit too much maybe. But some of the interesting ones are the product, which is the thing that I'm publishing, the project code or name. I have the task context, like the task type, which in this case would be the lighting. So I can add that here. So this is the name of the task, this is the task type. And these can be essentially previewed on different formats. So the higher resolution, for example, 4K, and I want to be super pixel perfect. I can enable the show grid here and really zoom in to start placing things exactly aligned to a certain grid. So make really pixel perfect grids. And there are some other components you can add. So for example, I can zoom in back and add the color bar, which is like a pre-built component. Then I can change the size that I want right here, like this. And say that's pretty nice, but I can also extend the height a bit. If I need this here for particular reasons, I can put it there. Another important thing is the usage of color spaces on the images. You want slates to be color accurate, and these images may go through AYON where there's a certain known color space. And you have this toggle here that says apply the color space that we know about it also onto the image or not. So maybe if the image that the slate is based on or is loaded into it doesn't have the right color space, and this was essentially converted for you.
That's it. Was it too fast, too short? I hope my email was there short enough, otherwise I'm going to get a lot of hate email that I should talk slower. So I will really try to be slow. We also have a little update around Cinema 4D. With the AYON Cinema 4D integration, you should be able to take Cinema 4D directly into your AYON productions. It actually originated from community-driven efforts, kind of like the ComfyUI, but after taking on the add-on officially, we've seen more clients adopting it in their productions, stabilizing some of the features.
Here, essentially.
What?
You're talking over yourself.
Okay, interesting. Very good. Maybe it's finally the marvelous video catching up. As always, it's available on the AYON add-on market right now, and here's a very brief little demo. And this one is cinema. It's going to be super epic.
I'm sure you all can't wait for a hint of Cinema 4D, so let's take a quick look. You can launch Cinema 4D from the AYON launcher, and as that's launched with a work file, you can basically get started. But Cinema 4D hints that this is going to be super epic because it's going to be super cinematic. This here is Mr. Cube, and he has had the worst day of his life. What's that? And he runs away. Like, something is going on. He's afraid of something. We all know it. So what can we do to actually explain this storyline? I can use AYON to load something. For example, this beautiful matching animation I did from Maya. I can essentially go back to the start and see what's actually going on with Mr. Cube. Let's see what's going on. Oh my god, it's the impending circle of doom with lots of extrudes. As you can see, my programmer's art is essentially super cinematic. Hire me for the next blockbuster cinema content you need. But what else can we do? We can also look at my failures. This is my prime. So if I go back a few versions, for example, this one, I can essentially see what that looks like. But if you guys look at this, like, it's much less cinematic. It's a bit dull and boring. And that shows that I spend the time to actually prime this to perfectness. I can also remove it and say, hey, yeah, give him a good day. I don't want this impending doom. And maybe start rendering this out. Or if we really feel this is the best character animations we've ever made, I can select the cube or any content and say, hey, I want to output this. For example, I can make a point cache from this and essentially prepare that for usage in, for example, Maya. That's it.
Best thing you've ever seen is probably, I got an email yesterday from Netflix, so I'm still in doubt whether I should sell it. There's also a new AYON Cavalry integration. Who knows Cavalry? No one. Oh, one person. Interesting. Because I knew it for quite some years. It actually originated from a guy who did Mash, the plugin from Maya. He started his own company. I think it was Scene Cavalry or something. And I always thought it was a pretty interesting application. But very recently, just a few weeks back, it was acquired by Canva. That's quite interesting because they're pretty big. The integration that we have here now is completely community-driven. It's built by Theodor Finloff, if I pronounce that right, and it's available now from his GitHub directly as linked below. The README has plenty of information to get you going, and you can get it at the AYON Cavalry GitHub URL shown there. It's fully functional. The guy said he made it completely with vibe coding. And I was like, yeah, let me just install that on my other machine that doesn't have internet connection and doesn't download weird shit, and then see if it actually works. And it works actually quite well.
Here's a little sneak peek into the AYON Cavalry integration. If you go to Scripts, AYON panel, you can get access to the AYON tools. For example, we can use the work files tool to load a recent work file, or I could use the same tool to make a new scene and go from there. I can store some artist nodes. This one will be awesome for FMX. And I can set the note there so that anyone else knows this is really awesome. I can use the loader UI here to load some recent content. So this one, I think, from ComfyUI would be pretty good in this particular demo. I'm just going to size this up because, yeah, it's going to look epic. I can play it back a few times, and, well, I mean, this speaks for itself, right? Pretty cool, pretty good. Definitely something we should render out. So I'm going to go to Publish, which will open the Publisher UI here. In this case, I already have an instance created, but let me just show you how that works. I'm going to remove it, which will unmark the composition. I'm going to select the composition, going back to the UI. I say, yes, this should be a reviewable as well, and then publish this out. This will essentially go and render out my scene locally. If I want to do this on Deadline or some farm, I need a farm connection and the Cavalry CLI. Cavalry was recently acquired by Canva. So these first few releases, or the latest releases of Cavalry, have a broken CLI integration, but I'm sure that'll be fixed shortly, and that should be working as well. So that's all rendered out, and now we can also access that particular one in our current context here, rendered out here. So that all works. I can manage anything that I've loaded, so I can say maybe this video is a bit too much, and I just really, really like it a bit cleaner like this. I can go back and just re-render it again, and my next version will be ready to go. I also have some easy access to enforce my frame range and resolution for my current context. Those will be taken from the ION production tools. Essentially, if the producer told my shot was like 12 frames, it would set it, so this would essentially up my frame range to 1001, 1020, because that's apparently what my task was set to, but of course I wasn't working there yet before. And the same for resolution, if that is set on the front end. That's it.
So I think the interesting bit is there that someone just did it with vibe coding, and due to the architecture that's already there with ION, was able to actually hook it up into the DCC quite quickly. Even though there was quite a bit of mess in there in the code base, and I might be making a PR to clean it up just for the sake of it. Hopefully not training other AI to do the same weird stuff, but it's very good to see that it actually, like the stuff he needed now to just start using it in production, he could get it up and running and put a TD on it, and he can probably clean up the rest and might even make this a viable solution for this particular DCC. Luckily, it's one that only has like images and with just some inputs and outputs. It's relatively trivial, but still, I found it quite interesting to see. I think this was supposed to be a slide. But the other thing I wanted to show now is a new tool we've been making called AYON Workflow. I actually announced it this morning in a much longer presentation. But it's essentially, it's not my laptop, and someone apparently is very popular on the internet. Yeah, I couldn't find it. I can mute the audio, but then anyway, see, look, I'm not a technician, I'm just head of pipeline. So essentially we build like a node graph, it's very simple. Really? But that's now I don't have audio at all.
Yeah. So next video we will play without sound.
Yeah. But he's so popular, he gets like every 2 seconds. And I don't have any friends. If it was my laptop, it would never happen. So we built a node graph. It's very simple, clear, kind of like the workflows you're familiar with in VFX. You can do anything you want, like copy, pasting, slicing, connections, and shaking the nodes to disconnect, all the nice little fluff you have in every of the editors. But what's interesting is about nodes is that the creation of the node itself is usually pretty simple. They just take some inputs and outputs. You don't need to think much about the pipeline. They just, here's a path. I want to encode something. Just you write only the encoding, which AI can do nowadays pretty good. And you have some outputs. So what you end up doing is you end up making all these nodes that you connect to make a workflow. I don't think that's super new on its own. But we're connecting that very nicely across ION itself, where it can trigger on events. So that whenever a status changes, it will automatically trigger, and it can automatically distribute that to your farm. So you don't need to run it locally. And each of the nodes themselves can even be chunked into different tasks, so that even if you just have like a nuke render node, it will be able to render each frame individually as a task, so you can still parallelize that on the farm. Yeah, I think that kind of covers the basis of that. I'll kind of have a few videos that kind of shows that. So here's one of the graphs where we have some context that comes in, which is essentially the area that you're working in, like the asset that you want to process. Just below, if I can actually read it. We're getting some attributes from it, and we're taking that through AI models, where we're essentially saying, make an image from this asset description, make a model for it, and then as that is done, it will essentially take it through USD to make a turntable render from it and upload that to ION. So what you would end up with is the producer or the story brief just came in. We would have like a populated list of assets with description, and the first thing you can do is essentially run this across all of your pipeline to say, okay, at least now we have like a previous model for all the assets we have in production. It might not look accurate, but you could technically already do some layout because you happen to have the car ready already. You have to have a vase already. Which might be off scale, but at least you have some starting point to get started if you really need to get up and running very quickly. Did we see the car spinning already? No?
Not the pink one.
Not the pink one? I think this one should be the pink one. So here it's still running the turntable, and then it's encoding the video because the turntable would be image sequence, and essentially it takes this in another job, and it would essentially trigger the publish process, which essentially takes that and puts it into ION so that it's available on the front end. And then here we're seeing it on the front end where we had the previous version that I didn't show here, how we generated it. And this is the second version where some really like pink over the sand color. And again, this is all distributed on the farm, and these can be automated even on asset creation if you really like that, but yeah, depends on your needs. This is still the same one, right? Yeah. Another thing you can do is you can expose these workflows as actions in the AYON web UI so that anyone has access to them. So in this case, we have just the use the turntable action, where essentially you can make a preview of models. In this case, I have quite a few models that don't have a preview yet, but I do want to be able to investigate what they look like and make it easy for anyone just to see it in the web UI. So in this case, I just select all of them, I run the action, that will move onto the farm. You can set the default priority to super low, so that if nothing is rendering, at least you'll get you'll be using your local farm to just generate some previews, and that means that hopefully, if this, for example, happens automatically, you will always have previews for everything you have on storage and on disk, making it very good to find everything you need. And nothing is keeping you from making custom nodes that, for example, instead of making a preview like this, it could also be like doing extra tagging, storing extra data into the database, so you could like do vector database searching if you really want to make like a library. Technically, it's more about you can push the data in here through some automations and you can build it yourself. And the workflow system itself, let me see. If you really like node graph porn, for some people this does something, but this is kind of what it looks like. But the really interesting thing about having this workflow add-on, where we just have some nodes that define some inputs and it generates some outputs, the graphs we're making, you can give it a name and a description. And essentially that means that this node could take an image sequence, or this graph could take an image sequence and make a video. I have this other graph that might just list all assets that live in my project. And that means that these workflows can act as tools. And it just happens to be that MCP eats tools for breakfast. MCP is the model context protocol. It's what LLMs use to learn how to use something. Like AI can nowadays use your computer and do anything. And that's very dangerous because it can literally do anything. If you tell it, make sure I don't have any reviewable or objects that don't have reviewables, it might format your C drive because it thinks, well, if they're gone, you won't be missing any reviewables. But in this case, it can only run the tools you give it. So you give it, okay, here's things of graphs that I made that you need to have access to solve my problem. And then you can just ask it things. Sounds neat? Then, and then, yeah. No, and then. Does anyone know this? It's a very, like it's dudes, where's my car? And anytime anyone says, and then, I always need to think of this. It's a scene where he's at like the McDonald's or something, and they just keep asking, and then, and it's super hilarious. But yeah, apparently I'm old. But this is kind of what that looks like. So what you could do is you can ask about the statuses of your project, but it can also run more complex tasks. Like you can ask it, can you find me all models in the demo project that have no uploaded preview video yet, and just generate them for me. In this case, I'm asking my computer to figure out how to do this using the workflow graphs that I allowed it to use. It can't touch anything else. It cannot format my C drive unless I made a graph that did that. You can save these actions to AYON. And this is quite important because the next time I want to do this, I don't want to ask AI again. I don't want it to do it different the next time. I don't want it to reuse tokens or eat my GPU again for some time. By running it once in like a demo project, I know, okay, this did exactly what I wanted it to do. It can find dynamic inputs, and when we have web actions on AYON, it can have like a form at the very beginning. So what could happen is that I save this to the front end. Whenever I run it, it will prompt me just the things that is missing, like which context is it running on. And well, you're already running it on a context, like an asset, so it already knows that. And in this case, the only other input that is listed at the bottom here is the playlist name. So what would happen is I would run this, and it would just ask me, hey, in which playlist would you like to put this? And that's all just from having a few graphs and me asking it. And as I save it, I have that available for everyone to use. And you can also use an online model or an offline one. In this case, I'm using Qwen 3.5, which is offline. What's next? There's always more to do, if not now, then soon. Purely speaking from the integration side of things, we may be investigating adopting desktop review in other players, like XStudio, if there's enough interest. Or if you just hate Autodesk too much, could be viable as well. Another exciting thing to note is that the AYON Workflows add-on will be integrated way more thoroughly in everything else. It is also bring your own nodes, so every add-on you make can also contribute its own nodes, essentially expand the ecosystem. That's very interesting, and we have a lot of clients and interest in USD, and USD, even after all those years, is still quite complex, so we're still investigating ways to improve tooling around that, so we would love to hear about the issues you're still facing with USD. And that kind of covers everything. So I think if there are any questions, I'd happily answer them. And I could try and sing a song about ComfyUI if you're still interested.
Any questions?
Thanks for the introductions of the tools. Just to add some more lines of ComfyUI to this talk. Tony was working also on integrations for environment management somehow. Is this also adapted to the new?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's the part where he did all the loading of his custom add-ons and stuff like that. Yeah, that's, I think, as far as I know, that's recently been merged. Tony and Sas are both in our private ComfyUI work group, and they've been discussing, or at least working together to get it merged. And as far as I know, that has already been merged. And across the next few weeks, we'll be working with them to clean up some of the stuff to make sure that everything kind of works and that it's also clear how to use it, because there's quite some settings that Sas put in that in some cases are quite technical. We might want to shuffle that around so that the basic configuration feels quite simple, but you have like an advanced section where you can configure the crazy stuff if you really know what you're doing. But yeah, as far as I know, that's functional, and it's just cosmetics at this point.
Thanks.
Thanks. About the cloud integration, Deadline Cloud integration, I stumbled over that they have implemented the RAS environment already. I haven't used the cloud implementation, but I know that the local Deadline clients do not support Maya in a RAS environment, the plugin. And so I was wondering, did they implement it just in the cloud to be able to run via RAS?
Yeah, so right now, I think that the most supported channel is the Conda one, like REST, and it works like, there's a difference between the service managed fleet, the cloud ones and the on-prem one. Nothing holds you back for creating your own packages. So you can actually, if you want to manage your own software running on the Deadline Cloud, you can create your own channel for Conda packages or repository for REST and use it there. The API supports both. You can use both Conda and REST. Don't think that you can actually use both of them, and it doesn't really make sense. But their channel, like the Deadline Cloud channel, that has the repository of all the Conda packages like Nuke, Maya, all the versions of Arnold and Renderers, that's available on Service Managed Fleet. And I don't think you can use it on a customer managed fleet. But that's like one of the points for improving the integration is that AYON could help there. AYON, because you have applications, and then when you define all the applications and tools you are using, and the only thing that holds you back is that you need to create those packages manually. So I'll actually created little super fast pull requests to do it with the AYON launcher, because it's not that difficult. You can create those packages quite easily, just like basically template wrapping the whole application. So I don't think that's really something like that holds you back. If you are already having your own software, then packaging is a kind of packages and using it on your customer managed fleet isn't really something difficult.
Oh, it might be that I wasn't correctly, I didn't ask the question correctly, because I was wondering if you submit a deadline job locally, the vanilla plugin does not support RAS yet. So you can't send Maya jobs 10.4.
Yeah, that's the old deadline.
Yeah, the more or less.
So Deadline 10 has like a RES plugin, which just configures the environment.
Yeah.
And then it kind of depends on the environment you've set up in RES and what it would do and what not. I've heard of a German company who happen to be clients of ours as well, that had TD there. It was a few years back. He was able to get Maya running completely as a REST package as well, even on Windows, although he said he spent almost a month figuring out how to make the license manager work, where the real issue was. But he said he was able to get it to work, but he said he would never do it again. So whether it's worth your issue problem, I'm not sure. And whether Deadline Cloud already supports the REST package, as far as I know, it should.
Yeah, the API supports it. There is like one of the advantages is usage-based licensing on Deadline Cloud. So you basically don't, if you are using the versions they are providing, you don't really need to care about setting up the licensing at all. It just works from the scratch. And if you want to use your own tools, like your own Maya plugins, let's say, then you need to create the Conda packages from them or REST packages. Like the vanilla Deadline submitters work with both. And we because we are using the same API, the same code, we are supporting that too. So you can choose between Conda and REST.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions going once, twice, 3 times. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We would be glad if you stay, those that are interested in discussion about the pipeline in general terms. You can stay for the next session. We will split into a few groups. It's not going to be this setup. We'll need to do something with the chairs. We'll throw out a few topics into those groups, and it's going to be just an open discussion, networking, and we will geek out about pipeline. So if you like that, please stay with us. Grab a t-shirt, and thank you very much for coming. And if you're around Prague in 2-3 weeks, come join us at AYON Summit or ask us about it. There are still some tickets available where we're going to go really deep into things on first day and then nice food and drinks on the second day. So come and join us. Thank you.